Khanna is a practicing counselor committed to supporting individuals through life's challenges. As the founder of the Thrive Realm, based in Board, Nidhi provides compassionate counseling to those experiencing stress, anxiety, depression, trauma, and grief. With a strong focus on culturally and linguistically diverse communities, Nidhi works extensively with women who are survivors of family violence, carers supporting loved ones, and individuals from immigrant, refugee, and asylum seeker backgrounds. As a specialist family violence counselor, she brings deep insight into the unique struggles faced by culturally diverse community members, offering counseling support that is culturally informed and fosters resilience and emotional well-being. Beyond one-on-one counseling, Nidhi is passionate about community connection and peer support. She creates safe, collaborative spaces where individuals can share their experiences, find solidarity, and develop practical tools for healing and personal growth. Today, she will be sharing her insights in her talk, Cultural Compass, Common Ground in Relationships. She will explore how cultural differences shape relationships and provide valuable strategies for fostering understanding, respect, and connection in multicultural partnerships. A more detailed bio is in the pack, so you can read that. So please join me in welcoming Nidhi Khanna.
All right, thank you. So before I start, I wanted to look at how we've got here today. And I want you to see some people here on the screen who decades ago actually paved the way for us to be having this conversation here today. So these are people from 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1900s. Does anybody know anybody from these? Yes, David?
Samuel Coleridge Tyler.
Oh, that's interesting. So I'm going to speak about the last couple here, Richard Loving and Mildred Jeter. This couple is from America. In fact, most of them are from America. And they got married in the year 1958 when intercultural interfaith marriages were illegal in America. And so when they got married and returned to Virginia, they were arrested under the Racial Integrity Act of 1924. Convicted for violating the law, they argued then their case based on the 14th Amendment. And on June 12, 1967, years after their marriage, there was a unanimous decision and the courts decided that all laws that did not allow interracial marriages will be banned henceforth. The impact was that June 12th, when the decision was given by the Supreme Court of America, it today is celebrated as Loving Day because they were the Richard Loving, the loving couple. Closer home, this is an Australian couple from the 1950s. They were denied the permission to marry in the 1950s by the Northern Territory. Their case gained worldwide attention, Australia-wide attention, I must say, and ultimately it impacted the Australian marriage law. And since then, there are no discriminations allowed for getting married based on race. Isn't it interesting how far we've come from here? And this is not too long ago, it's only the 50s and the 60s.
Okay, now we can get man to man married.
So, right. So from a time when intercultural relationships had lots of barriers to now when the bridges have been built. 1950s, the Gladys Namabu and Mick Davey case happened. 1961, the Australia's Marriage Act was passed and no discrimination was permitted. 2006, 18% of all Australian marriages became intercultural. By 2018, 32% of marriages became intercultural. And by 2020, 45% of marriages are intercultural. So now, in 2025, I'm sure we have even better statistics about it. It's quite interesting to see, isn't it, how far we've come as a country. So beyond the legal barriers, how do cultural values shape love and communication in a relationship? Studies show that 60% of couples who are in interfaith relationships report that cultural differences create a significant misunderstandings in communication, and therefore conflict resolution is very, very hard. So before I actually go on, I have a few questions here and I would like to come around, and if anybody is feeling a little courageous, to pick up a card and see what it says and try and answer it for us. Don't want to put anybody on the spot, but if anybody is willing to. Thank you, appreciate it. Just open it, there's a question.
Have you or someone you know been in an interfaith relationship? Well, yes. What's the biggest challenges? Shall I just answer?
Yes, please, whatever is from
my children's father was Lebanese. And so the biggest challenge was that it was sort of, cultures. I grew up in, there was sort of rules, abuse. I ended up in a women's refuge, but my sister-in-law, I remember her saying, Tess, when I didn't put up with things, she said, that's just the way it is. And I said, no, it's just not the way it is for me. I'm not putting up with that rubbish. So, and she stayed for 20 years, and that lady, so that was, I suppose that's a bad example, but that was my example.
No,
so,
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, so because this culture is not my culture.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Tessa, for sharing. Anybody else? Yeah, sure.
Take this off. Do you think love is enough to overcome religious differences in a relationship? Why or why not? Yes, well, I think it is. Perhaps that's because I'm not terribly religious. Okay. Well, can you hear me now? Yeah. It says, do you think love is enough to overcome religious differences in a relationship? Why or why not? Now, I'm not terribly religious, as the MIG members know, so I would say yes, but I think even for those who are religious, if you can respect the other person and their background and their beliefs, then that also forms the basis for a good marriage. So would that seem to answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Now, with a show of hands, can I ask how many of you think love is enough in a marriage if you're in an intercultural relationship? Yes. We all feel differently about it, and there's no right or wrong. Anybody else? I think you wanted to.
Hang on.
Where is the balance between compromising for a partner and staying true to yourself? Okay.
What was the question?
Where is the balance between compromising for a partner and staying true to yourself?
Good question.
Yeah, it's a very tricky question as well, but I'll answer it anyway. If you have an understanding between your partner and yourself, I think you could speak up, discuss the issues and come to a compromise. If your partner is the right person that you marry. But otherwise I can't see how compromising and for a partner and staying true to yourself. I think you can. I think you can if your partner is an understanding person. I'm talking about my ex-husband. I'm talking about my marriage.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know if that's right or wrong.
Okay. The question is, what role should extended family play in decision about religious practices in an interfaith marriage? Okay. Yeah. And actually, I can answer that. Yeah. Because we are interfaith marriage, me and my wife. I come from, perhaps many people will not be knowing, from a very orthodox religion called Jainism from India. And she comes from again, another little bit orthodox religion, a Sikh religion in India. And my elder son, he is married to a Chinese girl. And my younger son, he is married to a Brahman Hindu Orthodox family. So I can really answer that. On each occasion, like when my Chinese daughter-in-law, this Chinese New Year, all our family, we go and sit there. When we have that Guru Granth Sahib or that function, coming to the religious function, again, the whole family, even my grandchildren, although they are distant, and I mean, the one from the Chinese daughter-in-law, they don't speak much Hindi, the language we speak at home, but they understand. And then whole family, I mean, three grandchildren and all, we get together on each important function together to celebrate everybody's culture. And the other good part with us is that perhaps we are not that too much religious, you can say that. If I am from a Jainism, yes, my mother was very orthodox. I come from a very orthodox family. Yeah. So, okay, so whenever there is a function, we practice to respect each other, and that is the way we go for interfaith marriages. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate all your inputs, and I would have loved to do a few more, but we have to get through the slides. But I'm here, and we can have these conversations even after we finish. But it was very important for me to actually hear your thoughts before I put anything on the slides there. What I have understood is that the key areas of impact in interfaith marriages are family expectations and approval. Like Virendra said, because there's approval for the rest of the family members to do things that are important in their belief system, your approval means a lot in nurturing that relationship. But if it's not there, imagine what happens to the relationship. The other is food, holidays, and daily life. Imagine being a vegetarian getting married into a family that eats non-vegetarian food every day. That is a huge thing. And I think the other way as well. Because if you need your meat, how do you live on veggies? Yeah? So food and daily life is one of the biggest impact areas. Parenting and children's upbringing, you would all agree, is something that most intercultural couples have to come together and have conversations about. Religious practices and rituals. Now these cultural differences don't have to be obstacles in the relationship. They can really be opportunities to create a deeper, meaningful relationship. But how do you challenge these in a healthy way? So one of the things is communication. And if I can ask you, how many feelings can you name? How many feelings can you name? Roughly, give me a rough number. Feelings like I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry. How many such feelings can you give? 12. 12, okay. 20, you said 20. Anybody? 10, yes. I think on an average, all of us can do 10, 15 easily, and if we stretched ourselves about 20, 25. Do you know how many feelings there actually are that have actual term names to them? 128. And we stay on the surface by saying, I'm sad today. But actually sometimes beneath the sadness is either disappointment. You know, so you come home and you're feeling really low, and you say to your partner, I'm sad, but actually you're not sad. There is disappointment that the kitchen is dirty, the house is a mess, the children haven't showered, all of those things. But what we say on the surface is, I'm sad. Or sometimes it presents as anger. But actually there are 128 emotions under the surface. And if we learn to communicate them correctly, it can actually resolve a lot of conflicts in our lives. That's not an emotional wheel. If anybody is interested, you can actually go on Google and find the emotional wheel. And it will give you all of the 128 emotions. And when I said that communication is important, I'm always reminded of this quotation by an Austrian philosopher, Ludwig Wittgenstein, who said, the limits of my language mean the limits of my world. If I can't put out how I'm feeling today, that limits my engagement with you. That's the importance of communicating in intercultural marriages. Now I'm going to put out another question to you. How many of you think that marriages are 50-50? Both partners have to come in 50-50. Yeah? We've all sort of learned that in a marriage you have to come 50-50. What if I say, and this is actually drawn from Brené Brown, who is an established author, and she says marriages can be 80-20, 90-10, 70-30, 60-40, depending on what it's like on the day. So what I
the housework or?
No. So this really means how much of yourself you're bringing into the marriage. So say on a particular day I'm really low, and I can sit at the dining table and have a coffee with my partner and say, today I'm just a 20, I can't get to my 50, can you please become the 80 that I need today? That is such a valuable conversation to have, because I am saying to him, I am not bringing my 50 today. So then he steps up and then he does the housework that you just mentioned. And then when he's not having a great day and he's at a 40, I step up and be the 60 that needs. So as far as I've understood, relationships can't be split evenly. They really are built fully, where each partner can bring in the part that is necessary. So if someone's struggling, bring more of you. And if you're struggling, communicate. And did a really good exercise where we were all talking to each other, and I'd like to do the same. If whoever you're sitting next to, if you can answer the question, what's one thing that you're passionate about or strongly believe in? Can you just pair up and talk about that? Like something that you strongly believe in. All right, thank you. We'll come back to the room. Were there any surprising elements you heard? Anybody heard? As a listener, did anybody hear something surprising? Say, I am passionate about how to optimally untangle a mobile recharger cable. Anything surprising came up? Or I'm passionate about whether socks should be folded or rolled. Something like that came up? Yes. So I think we probably had good conversations, people shared things that you got interested in. Now say if I had come out with that socks shouldn't be folded, they should be rolled. And you don't care one bit in the world whether socks should be folded or rolled. What do? We zone out, right? We zone out. I don't care what you think about socks and organizing them.
You keep your socks nicely and let them do what they want to do.
Right, But the art of listening in a marriage is this. However boring, however mundane, however much you're not interested, just being present, being curious, and being an intentional listener. So, if I approached the same thing as saying, oh wow, which means socks are so important to you, I would love to understand this, you know. So there's an element of curiosity how you're approaching that conversation compared to, oh my goodness, who cares about socks? Yeah. So that's the art of listening in a marriage. The other thing, so we spoke a little bit about the couples who were in interfaith relationships in the 50s, right? Do you also know that there was the White Australia policy until the 1960s, where people of color were not allowed to enter Australia? And in the 1970s that was abolished, and then people of color were allowed to come here. The first thing that was said to all the immigrants who were coming in was, you have to become like us. You have to learn our language, you have to do what we do. Australia is a melting pot of cultures. We've heard for very long, you know, and I've always not liked that. I like to think that Australia is actually a salad bowl, where every ingredient in the salad retains what it brings. So you retain your culture, you retain your whatever's unique to you, and then you come together with the other elements, with all the different cultures here, and together we create something that is bigger than any of us, right? And same holds true for managers, interfaith managers. So don't try to tell the partner that you have to come and learn. You have to become us, because what you're aspiring for is a melting pot, and that's not what we hope for. What we hope for is a stunning bowl of salad. One other thing is, how do you identify what's important in this marriage, the core values? These are some images you can see here is from interfaith couples in America. One partner being American, where Halloween is very important. The other being Indian, where Diwali is very important. And last year, it fell on the same day. And it usually falls around October, but last year it was on the same day. And look at how they decided to celebrate. So they are in their Indian costumes, wearing Halloween faces. And I found these images really powerful, you know, they were like, this is how we embrace each other. So finding ways to integrate together as a couple. One other thing is boundaries. How many of you find it difficult to state your boundaries and to, you know, stick to them? It is hard. It is hard. We are often worried about how is it being received. You know, when I'm saying this is not acceptable to me, is it going to impact my relationship? Is it going to impact the family system around it? So there's something I want to share with you, which is my personal experience. I have also come from an intercultural marriage. We're both Indians, but from different communities. I come from a family that's very progressive. Girls are working. You know, we have independent careers and all of that. My husband comes from a very traditional family where women weren't working. So they have a certain way in the community where anybody could come to your home anytime unannounced, and it's expected that the woman in the house will receive them well and do everything that's to welcome. So of course I also have a welcome mat in front of my house, and I mean it. I really mean to welcome you, but not on a Monday morning when I'm rushing to my appointments and I know people are waiting for me, and this is what I wake up to. Yeah? 5 unannounced people actually. This is not a real image, but symbolic of it. Unannounced, 8 o'clock in the morning. Hello, we were in the city and we are here to spend the day with you. And this is for real, you know. And I'm heading into my office and I'm all ready to go with my laptop in my hand. And they say, we are spending the day with you and we are here only for today. So can you please take the day off? Yeah. What would you do? And it's important to them because they've come specially to meet you. But they don't know, they didn't realize that things are different now. Women are working, they have to go out. I'm not at home to receive and welcome you at 8 in the morning and spend the entire day with you.
I'll give them the keys of the house and say you can stay here.
Oh, fantastic. That is exactly what I did. So it was important, and how I have to say to them was, I'm really happy to see you and I wish you had informed me, I would have taken the day off.
Yes.
But then now I have my plans for the day. I will try and return early and I will try and spend the evening with you. I'm not sure how well it was received. I'd like to think that that was the best way to approach it. So boundaries, very important.
Did they come from India or they live in Australia?
India. So this incident was when I was in India.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
That's normal.
Everything, the boys only ego.
Yes, and that it's actually good you mentioned because my husband also had to work and he did the same. He said, I have to go, but I'm going to come back early. So he came back by lunch and spent some more time. So just recognizing the importance of establishing the boundaries and yet at the same time also compromising where you can a little bit. Not so much a compromise, more an adjustment on the day so that you are honoring their need to meet you, you know. And I've learned one thing in life, people don't care always. People don't care. When they're caring and you're refusing to care, then that's wrong on your part too. So when people care, honor that care, because they don't always care. I have, very quickly, I don't know, am I finishing too soon? But,
12 minutes.
sure. I just wanted to discuss the key takeaways, and if anything stood out to anybody here, I'd like to hear that from you. So, sure, please.
All I wanted to say was, I know we are talking about intercultural marriages, but it's also any marriage. Actually, because me and Zara come from the same religion, same faith, we speak the same language, we speak everything is similar. But we are two different personalities. We have different family upbringings. We come from very different backgrounds, and those values and beliefs, it's not only just intercultural marriages.
Sure.
All I wanted to comment was, I think what you're saying is true for any marriage.
Sure, yes. And that is very true, I agree. The only other element is with intercultural marriages, I guess there has to be a greater awareness of respect for the other. Because here, in a similar marriage, we understand each other's culture, we understand each other's expectations of the marriage. But when it's intercultural, we don't, like for me, it was hard to believe that somebody could turn up at my door at 8 in the morning. I don't think that that's something that anybody in my family would do. But then to find the compassion within me and say, you know, I really appreciate it and recognize that they're caring for me. So to find that compassion, otherwise there can also be an element of irritation. What? 8 o'clock in the morning, who comes like this? Yeah. But then I have to understand that that's their culture, that's the community that has developed over years, and that's how they live. It's okay to show up. It's okay to just go to somebody's house. That's how you show care. But I wouldn't have understood if I didn't take on that extra lens that yes, I need to understand this community a little bit more. But you very rightly said that these things all hold good for any marriage. Yes. Anybody had anything else to share? I did not want to be the only one talking, so I want to hear from you. Yes, please.
I wanted to share about the boundary. Like, I'm Sam, I'm interfaith married, and if someone is coming to our place, I would expect a call.
Yeah.
And in my husband family, their culture is like, you're most welcome anytime.
Anytime, yes.
But I think what's important, yes, is respect the culture as well, but also communicate.
Absolutely.
it's very important. When I got married, then I understand that. Then I was telling my mother, no, this is how we do home. So, and so on. And now we understand each other.
That's right.
So I think that's very important of communication in both families.
Absolutely, yes. I share that with you, yes. Yes, please.
Nidhi, I wrote this on a piece of paper to ask you later on, but now, as we can ask now, what was the basic need and requirement for marriages in the society? Now, there are same-sex marriages. Why?
No, I appreciate the question still. I don't want to comment on same-sex marriages and those things. That is distinct from the conversation here. But I do want to say why marriage was determined to be important is because it provides a structure to society. And that structure is so essential. I may be a little old school about it. Some people don't think marriages are as essential today. And I respect that too. I respect everybody's view on this. But if you're asking my own, I believe it provides a structure to society. It gives that basis, that foundation you need to function in the community in a certain way. But with times changing, a lot of you may think differently, and I still respect that. And I will say it here.
It also provides stability to the kids. Also.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. A stable family home for the children to grow up in. Yeah. Sure.
I also am in an intercultural marriage. My husband is from China. I just wanted to say that with regard to less conflict between cultural and whatever expectations, it can be beneficial, which is sad to say, but if the person who comes from overseas has had a negative experience in their home country. My husband has been known to liken his childhood to a Jew growing up in Nazi Germany, with the result that he was extremely, he's about the most un-Chinese Chinese you will ever meet. So we've not had quite so many issues, but some of ours have been turned on their heads. For example, I want our boys to learn Cantonese, which is Michael's first language. But neither Michael nor his parents were in favour of it, and when they were both diagnosed with autism, I gave up anyway.
Thank you for sharing. It's so important to hear these voices. What I heard was that there is sometimes intergenerational trauma from somebody who comes from another community that we do not understand, and therefore a huge responsibility falls upon us to first have an understanding of that intergenerational trauma and supporting them in breaking those cycles and creating healthier relationships in the future. Anybody else? Because it's important that we hear the voices in the room and not just my own. I'm not a big fan of my own voice. I can't bear to hear myself. Or anything else, you know. David, did you have anything? I think. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. I was just wondering, when you mentioned there the role of the extended family, my personal view is the extended family should keep out of it. Because once they come in, it gets very complicated. Husband, wife might fight today, tomorrow they're going, nothing happened. But the extended fight that goes to the extended family stays on forever. Yes. So it's better for the extended family to keep out any marriage, right?
No, absolutely. So either positive involvement or none, I would say. Yeah. Only if you can, like Virendra shared, they are able to bring the family together without really expectations from how they should behave or do. There, I think involvement is great. But if you're not bringing anything positive to the relationship, then I guess it's best for extended family to step back and stay away. Yeah. Yes, please.
Just on the extended family, a few years ago, the OECD, which is, I forget the acronym, but it's Organization of Economic States, and Australia, Canada, the US are part of the OECD, and the OECD takes a position of planning economically for the future. This report said that by 2030, governments like Australia and Canada, my own and others, will run out of money. So what they're saying is that they're trying to help governments plan for the future, and they're saying that the new poor will be the elderly and the single parent. Now, some of you might say that's already the case. And so what I concluded from that was that we will face a situation where the government cannot provide for each of us. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I live by myself and I get older and older. At some point, who's going to take care of me? Well, I may have to get the state to take care of me, right? But if we have each other, husband and wife, even when we get older, we try and help each other out, right? So the scenario now has to be, and the OECD was actually saying something interesting. They said we need new family models. And then I thought, well, what does that mean? And I think one of the things that I find might be the solution is like this interfaith group here could be considered an extended family. So therefore, if I'm part of a club and, a community, a church, a mosque, then, maybe I'll get a little bit of support from my extended family. That actually has to become, in my opinion, that's kind of like the next revolution that has to occur, because the government will not be able to provide for people. We will reach that point, I think, fairly sooner than we think. And for some people, it's already happening. So, long story short, I think extended families is something maybe we can think about from an interfaith point of view, at least.
Such a valuable point. Absolutely. The bell has gone a few times. So thank you. I hope that you enjoyed the conversation. And I'm still around and we can continue to have these conversations after we finish. Thank you.